Hello and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 243 at scavengerlife.com. Let's get it going. Come on.
So Ryan, I'm going to start with a little sweet story.
Okay.
So lately, I'm going to tell you how I've been waking up in it's morning.
Okay.
One of our cats, whose
Yes.
name is Battle Cat,
Yes.
will jump on me and wake me up.
What is
She just sits right on my chest. And so I wake up and I grab my phone that's by the bed. And the first thing I do is I look for any sales or offers.
Yes.
You know? Like, I just want to see,
Did anything
were we
sell?
making money while we're
Right.
sleeping?
Most of the time we were.
If there's any messages, I'll try and answer them. And then I read the news and just see what's going on in the world. And then I'll read comments, if people have left comments on the blog. It's great. It's a great way to wake up.
That's what I do too. Although it's a different cat that wakes me up.
Yep.
They look the same, but they're two different cats.
Yeah. But it's nice, Like, what a way to wake up. And then I feed the cats because that's why they wake us up in the first place.
You feed them wet food.
Okay, so that's enough of the cute story. Let's get down to business. Okay, so this week we talked about, we had a trash elf.
Yes.
Him and his wife came and stayed in our farmhouse, and we traded him the ability to stay in our place for a week. And he had family come in from, it's DC for a weekend, and then he gave us 2 days where he came to our home, and and his name is Vic. Sorry, Vic's a good guy.
Yeah,
Vic came, and Vic showed us. We had a big pile of stuff, and he showed us how to send it to Amazon FBA.
Yeah,
and it was great.
It was... Okay, so here's the thing. Like, a lot of people are probably like, why did you need someone to show you how to do this? Because all the information's online. But look, it's like when you meet new people who have never listed on eBay, and they're like, I have no idea even how to start, That's how I felt about FBA. I'm like, what do I do?
I think for me, it was like it's motivational thing too. It's like, we have a lot to do, and we kept putting it off. Okay, we could, I was bookmarking different videos that people say are good. I was like, look, I just bring a friend of ours.
Show me how to do it.
And it was great. We had a good time. We would cook lunch. We would talk about eBay and Amazon and just talk about life while we're doing it.
Yeah.
He's able to answer things that are hard to get from a video.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was great. We sent in 90 items with him.
Yes.
And that took about 9 hours or so to send in over 2 days.
Yeah.
It was like 2 kind of afternoons.
Yeah.
And that's mainly just because we were learning.
Yeah, we were learning. We were going slow and asking questions.
Right.
And
I'm sure people. But then Vic left, and then we did one shipment on our own.
Yeah. That was how many items? Like 30-something? 33 items?
And then...
Well, the next day, Vic helped us for 2 days, and then we were all excited, and we were like, wait a second. We have all this stuff that's new and packaged with UPC labels from your, infamous hardware auction. And we were like, that's perfect.
And this is stuff we already had. So it's stuff that was already on eBay, mainly new in the box, or at least, unused items that Amazon likes. It's got a label or
It's new in the
ISBN
package.
number.
It's never been opened.
And so our goal is to get 1,000 items into FBA. I think that's because if we're going to do the experiment, let's really
do it. Yeah.
And but the good news is, so some of the packages, some of the boxes got to the Amazon warehouse. They've already been checked in, and we sold 4 things.
It's
yesterday.
so crazy because on the eBay seller app, it says your total sales.
Amazon seller app.
I'm sorry, the Amazon seller app. So so we were looking at it yesterday because I was just scanning in books and stuff, and it's like you sold stuff, but it won't show you because it's still pending through Amazon. I'm sure all the Amazon people are like, oh yeah, I know. So it can be pending because it hasn't been packed and shipped to your customer through FBA yet, et cetera, et cetera. There's reasons. But through onlineSellingExperiment.com, I figured out how to find. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
I figured out how to find the pending offers. So it was amazing. We sold. It was 3 things through FBA and 1 merchant fulfilled that I haven't sent in yet. So I actually mailed it through the post office. It was a book. It was one of those things though with FBA where you're like, are they just doing this to get us like addicted to sending stuff in? Like, are they just trying to?
But okay, I'm going to tell you my take. I think my take's a little different from yours.
Okay.
So, this is the experience that people have told us about.
Right.
I've been very skeptical, and we've interviewed people who sell on Amazon FBA, and they've told us their experience, and this is what they say. It's like, you send stuff in and stuff just sells.
It starts selling.
And stuff sells faster on Amazon than it does on eBay.
Right.
And obviously, depending on what we send in.
Yeah.
And the kind of stuff that was selling was like, hardware stuff. Like, actually, that auction I went to back in the summertime, where I bought a bunch of like it's new unboxed stuff.
Yeah.
I bought specifically for this Amazon experience.
Right.
We actually sent that stuff in, and
Yes.
I think that's a good stuff that people like to buy. I guess.
Right. We hope.
But we'll see. I think the problem we have now is how are we going to source stuff for Amazon?
Yeah.
Because this was all the stuff. We'll probably be able to send stuff. We'll probably be able to send in about 200 items. Right now, and that's stuff that we've had that we've kind of stockpiled over the past however long. Are we going to be able to find enough new unboxed kind of items on a regular basis?
I think it just takes like looking for that stuff, because we just never really looked for that stuff before, or didn't think it was worth it depending on the item, so I don't know. It's just a different like set of eyes for looking for things. We are going to go shopping today, so hopefully we'll see if it's true.
I mean, it is true, and something that's always kind of kept me away are the fees. I mean, the fees really are enormous. I mean, partly because really if you're selling on Amazon FBA, it's basically like, things are being shipped for free.
Right.
And so you're having to eat that cost.
Yeah, it's definitely different. But that's the beautiful thing. Number 1, things sell fast, and number 2, they do all the storage and the shipping for you. Yeah. So that's what you're paying for.
I can see how people get into the whole idea of, well, man, I'll just start finding pallets full of iPhone cases and send them in, or I'll find, whatever. Like, it's all about quantity.
It's volume.
I mean, we actually were at our Walmart buying, some food, because that's where we buy food in our town.
Yeah.
And we found its clearance aisle.
It was interesting. We found the clearance aisle, which we'd never found before.
I never knew existed.
You know why? Because it's in the toy section.
Right.
Then we never go into the toy section.
It's like 2 small aisles, and it's where they have their, like, stuff that it's returned, or like stuff that's kind of rough, or just, I guess, overstocked stuff, like frozen toys.
Right.
So we were like, so let's just start scanning, and the app, the Amazon app's really good, and you start scanning.
Yeah.
And,
there wasn't anything.
You buy for $5, sell for $8. It's like $5, sell for $12.
Sometimes it was cheaper on Amazon than it was at Walmart, so I'm like, ugh.
I mean, I will say this. We still love eBay. I mean, we're going to try this experiment. Why not? But man, we can find, like, we sold a pair of shoes for $120 that we bought for $3.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you cannot beat that kind of profit, its margin, and how many things on Amazon do we have to sell to make that?
Right, exactly.
No, it's just different.
It's definitely different, but I will say it was very fun and
very exciting to like see those things sell. Like as soon as they hit the warehouse,
it was like they had sold as soon as they had checked them in.
And we grossed $160.
Yeah,
I'll see how much. I mean, really, the proof is how much profit we make,
right?
And we'll see at the end of its month after they take out all the shipping fees,
right? And this pick and pack and this
there's
storage.
all these fees, so we'll see how much we actually make.
But yesterday I scanned in 70 books. I think it was about 70. I sold one of them already, which was kind of cool. Before I was even able to send it in, so I don't have to send that
books
in anymore.
That we've been stockpiling. I mean, we probably have 5 big bins of books that I've been stockpiling just because I just didn't want to take pictures of them for eBay. So we're going to send them in.
Well, yeah, and the more collectible ones that aren't listed on Amazon, we'll just sell on eBay, and they sell well.
And and that's the other thing. I was wondering. I was asking this on the blog. Like, can you use FBA as a shipper to other could we send our eBay items to Amazon
and just not sell them on Amazon, right?
And people were getting confused about what I was asking. I mean, and maybe I'm confused. I'm not talking about stuff that could sell on Amazon. I'm talking about some weird item from the 70s that has some vintage item. It's not going to be on Amazon, and people are like, you can create a listing for it, but I think you couldn't even create a listing for this kind of weird vintage item.
Yeah.
And then I remembered that you can actually send it into
Celery.
Yeah.
Celeryfulfillment.com.
And we've talked about them. It's before.
And it's spelled like this. Hold on, though. It's SELERY fulfillment. Celery, like the food you eat, but spelled with an S.
Yeah, and we'll put a link to it on our blog. But basically, that's what they do. They're out of Dallas, and they actually work with mainly eBay and Etsy people. And you can send in all of your weird inventory.
Right.
And then they'll ship it for you.
Right.
Because that is an interesting thing with Amazon FBA. I mean, I think that's why people get excited by it, is that you can just do all the work up front, mail it off to a warehouse.
That's the beauty.
And then when it sells, now there's obviously a fee every time the item gets sold.
Right.
But it just seems like the perfect kind of, I guess that's why people, again, love FBA, is that they can be in a little small apartment.
Yeah.
But have a huge store.
Or like Resale Rabbit in random hotel rooms that he's traveling around to, and he just ships it the next day, and it's
or
gone.
That guy picking profits.
Andrew,
he would, I think he said he had 10,000 books or something. I mean, he himself was in a small apartment, but he would buy huge bags of books from book sales and then send them all to Amazon FBA.
Yeah, so that's the beauty of that.
All right, so anyway, that's
the FBA experiment for us. We finally tried it.
And it's pretty easy, right?
Yeah, it's easy. I mean, once you know how to do it and you know the steps, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, make sure you're doing it right, and we did it. And it worked, and things got checked in, and they started selling. I'm like, okay, we did it right, It's definitely, I can understand why people rent warehouses, because it is kind of an assembly line. It's like an assembly line.
The larger amount that you send in, it all has to be kind of laid out, because you got to put a sticker on it.
You got to put a sticker on it, and then you got to pick which one's going to which warehouse, so you got to make sure you pick the right one. So it can be a little bit overwhelming compared to eBay, but it makes sense. It's like a warehouse mentality, assembly line mentality.
Okay, postage rates are higher.
Yes.
We've all been talking about this. My question to you is, Ryan, how has it affected us? Did you notice substantial?
Yeah, I noticed that the prices are definitely higher. You can feel the difference with flat rate. The good thing is this, though. I've noticed that the prices for regional rate, like regional rate A, I've used proper regional rate A several times this week, where I'm like, that's actually cheaper than, by weight.
And before that had
Before it was never cheaper. So I've done that, and I've said this before, and I will always say it, because it's never been the case where you can send something first class up to a pound. Basically, it's 15.99 ounces, which according to eBay labels equals 1 pound. So if you have an item that's 1 pound, it can go first class, and it's half the price. So that's incredible. You know how much first class I sent this week? Sometimes I was practically only putting first class out on the porch.
It's before that. It was very rare.
I did a lot of first class because we sell a lot of hats and belts and light things like that, just in general. But anything 1 pound was always priority. But now it can go first class, and that's a price.
Now, someone on the blog was pointing out some item we had it listed and said our shipping rate was
okay.
crazy.
So check it out. So that was a Slayer shirt that I had up. I think it was on sale, but I think I had it up for like $200 almost before it was on sale. So I just put priority mail on that. I was like, priority mail. And actually what I noticed when I went in there is I had slower mail for parcel. And I'm like, I don't need parcel on this. Like, so I actually changed it to first class with enough buffer for insurance if it did sell over $100. But that was kind of an anomaly. Usually I put t-shirts on first class because they're like 10 ounces or something. Right. But for that one, I think I had just automatically put it on like the
So it had
higher.
tracking.
It had tracking and I could put insurance. But first class does have tracking and you can put insurance on it.
So my question is, because we do calculated shipping, we don't have to change anything because it just calculates with a new rate.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, everything should be updated because...
However, but is this a case where are there things that would not have been first class that could be first class? Like,
yes. You know what? That's true now. Like, that t-shirt, for instance. Well, that should have been first class anyway. But, yeah, so anything that's a pound. But I don't know if the bulk lister will let me find those things. That's the problem with changing it.
Maybe you could just go by... like category, like think of categories where things,
like might shirts, or
smalls,
small thing. But most small things are first class anyway, like to begin with. So it's tough going back through 4,000 listings, unless eBay lets me pick 1 pound and under and then change. I have to check that in the whatever it is, my dashboard. Right. Because that'd be really helpful to just give people the first class option for anything up to a pound. I agree.
So my other question is, Omfug or Sue.
Yeah.
She was asking, well, how do we feel about our second store experiment? We started a second store on eBay back in last spring.
It was almost a year ago.
Yeah, I think it was like May or something like that. And so we have almost 1,000 items in that store. And it's doing well for us,
we sell over there.
And then my question is, at a certain point, like when we hit 1,500 items, we're going to start hitting that number where we always said, like...
we plateau.
Our numbers start to plateau more, like they don't keep going up. They start to, like, even out.
You don't sell more.
And then it's more about just consistency, where having a large inventory just make sure we're always making consistent money.
Right.
So my question is, should we open a third store at that point? Like, I was checking the eBay rules, and I didn't see any rule against it. Like,
and a lot of people, too, just in general, talk about doing another store for different types of items. So I don't think they limit that. Like... Right. If you want to open a store for shoes and I want to do
but I mean, there's no rule about the stores have to even sell different items.
Right.
Their thing is you can't open up more than one store if you're trying to get around its limitations because you're a seller and you can't sell only a certain amount on one store. You can't open up another store to get around that. As long as there's no limitations, we could have 3 stores that just sold anything.
That's true. I'm trying to think. Right, so the experiments, that would truly be an experiment where each store has like about 1,500 items. Yeah. And you're like, so I just wonder this, and people have brought this up before. Like, do they limit your sales based on like your IP address? I mean, that seems crazy to me. Like, that seems so specific. You know what I mean? Like no matter how many stores you have, are you going to plateau the same?
Okay. I'm going to put a nix on that. So I don't think
that's too extreme.
I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
What I could believe in is the larger inventory that you have of unsold items. Those unsold items can weigh down on its ranking because I believe, and this would make sense. It would be logical, and it wouldn't be a mystery. It wouldn't be a conspiracy that they would judge you by your sell-through rate.
Sell-through rate,
all these people are coming and checking out your items, and because you have so many items, you get a lot of people that look at your items because there's a lot of items, but you aren't getting as many people buying. Yeah. So, the idea would be is that if you had more stores, you have like a fresher store.
Right. stuff's turning over more, maybe, because you don't have as many items. So hopefully, yeah, I know it's hard to tell.
So, but at the same time, when I look at our numbers, so we have 4,000 in one and 1,000 in the other.
Yeah.
If I look at the amount of sales, they're about comparable. I mean, you know.
You mean the amount of sales or the
I mean, like
number?
You know, we make about
money amount.
You know, we average, and I'm being really conservative here, like $6,000 a month on 4,000 items, and then on our other store, we make about $2,000 on 1,000 items, a month, and they're almost the same. You know, so it's not like you know, we're making
I see what you're saying.
Much less on a larger store. Yeah, it's about comparable.
It's like the ratio is the same.
So anyway, you just heard this kind of. This is us spitballing. So
yeah, it's just. I mean, like we said, well, the point we bring it up is because Sue was like, "So, what do you think? Like, is it successful?" And we kind of were both like, I don't know. Is it? You know, is it worth it to do a second store? Like, do you even think of a second store, pay other fees, et cetera, et cetera? And I don't know the answer. Should we open up a third one and
fill that
up and see if you get plateaued over there, and then they all even out as, you know, you have 1,500 in each, and you're. I don't know. Okay,
so I'm going to segue to what you just said. So we talk about our sales plateauing as we hit a certain amount of inventory. I think another reason has nothing to do with eBay's search, its rankings, or anything like that. Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the kind of inventory that we sell. I mean, so I was just checking out our sales for the month, and you know, I'm noticing that we're selling consistently $100 plus items. Yes. You know? And I think we forget that several years ago or more, especially when we were starting, selling a $100 item was inconceivable. Right. Like, that was just not on our radar. Like, we never assumed that we could go out and find items that cost $1 or $2 and then sell them for $100. Right. We weren't even trying to price them for $100, which was obviously the big problem, is why we weren't selling. Yeah, sure. Items. But you know, our mentality has changed. So I think one thing about like the plateauing sales is just about thinking about our inventory differently. Sure. Being stronger on pricing things. Finding cooler items. You know. Yeah, and I think also like we'll sell a couple things a week that are $100 or close to $100 or more. And we're just like, yep, that's sold. And it's like, wait a second. Yeah, I mean, it's like, those sales are always great. I always love those sales. But it's funny how normal that can be over time. Yeah. You know? And I don't know. I think people that are brand new to selling on eBay and hearing us, maybe they can tell us their perspective now. Like, are you even trying to price things for $100? Are you thinking that there are even items in your inventory that are worth $100? You know, and so I'm thinking, you know, like, you know, that's the thing. Is and we've talked about this many times. It's about just trying to up our game. Yeah, like that's how you make more money, is sell things for more money. Right. You know, and hopefully find things more often that are worth more. Right. You know, and there was someone, I think he was anonymous, but he came on the blog and was like, I'm trying this different experiment where I'm not trying to buy things that I'll sell for $30. I'm trying to invest in things that I'll sell for, you know, $200 or more. And I think that's always a good experiment. I think it's good to try that. Absolutely. Point of fact. Point of fact. I know you always say that. Point of fact. Yeah. Yes. I also want to remind people, it's not the summertime. You know, this is after Christmas. We're kind of end of January, early February, and you know things. You know, we're selling almost $300 a day, and we have been since it's November. Yeah, and that's great. You know, that's our goal. We must remember and appreciate these good times. You know, yes. I mean, we're making good money right now, and we're trying to use that money productively. Right, either investing in our other business and saving some of it. You know. When summer is coming. Yeah. It's coming, guys. Yeah.
It's unavoidable. It comes every year.
And it happens every year, and everyone's like, oh, eBay's dead. It's so slow. I mean, we can start averaging like $150.
It's basically half.
During the summertime, and it's just normal.
Now, I want to say that's average. There will be days in the summer where one thing for $15 sells.
Right.
And you're like, oh my God.
Right. But on the average in a month, it all kind of averages out to $150.
Exactly.
So I want to remind people, that these are not things that should sneak up on you. Like, it's coming.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen. Like
don't cry about it.
It's like the pace of retail.
Yeah.
And it's for everybody. And so, enjoy these times while it's here.
And list during the summer.
Right.
Because you can get your store going for the winter.
Be the ant and not the grasshopper.
Okay, enough of that.
Okay, numbers for the week. We sold in our main store. We sold 29 items for about $1,300.
Cool.
Pretty good.
Yep.
Bonanza, we sold one $20 item. On Amazon, we sold $160 worth.
I just want to clarify. On Bonanza, it was a $20 item. It sounded like you said a $120, like $120.
Got it.
It's $20.
A single $20 bill.
Yes.
And then in store number 2, on eBay, we sold 9 items for about $350.
Ooh, I like that number.
So, not bad.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, and you know what? Because we were doing Amazon all week, we didn't list a single item on eBay.
We didn't even touch eBay.
And we still sold all that stuff and made that money.
Yeah, it was great.
That's a good example of having a large inventory. You can kind of coast for a while when you're working on other projects. Your eBay store, that pipeline, I'm just holding out a bag and cash is falling into it.
Yeah. Cash is coming out of the pipeline.
That's right.
So some of the things we sold this week, this was a really cool one. A vintage padlock that we bought at the Amsterdam flea market, I Holland. And we did like a little interview with the seller with our friend Mark, who did a little podcast about it. And so I think we paid like less than €5 for it. Well, because we bundled.
It was 20 for a big pile of things, so it probably hadn't even been $5.
30 euro for everything. But we sold the padlock for a best offer of $75.
Yep.
So that's I love that sale.
It was cool. We sold a bowling bag,
It's like a rolling luggage for bowling balls.
It was actually for 2 bowling balls, and so it was fairly big. It was like a suitcase. And we sold it for $50 to someone in Guam.
Guam, people.
Yeah.
It's a U.S. territory, so that means you can send stuff through the Postal Service. Well, you can send anything through the Postal Service worldwide, but what I'm saying is it's a U.S. rate.
Right.
Although it's still expensive to get to Guam.
So it's cool. For $10, I bought the bag with 2 balls in it.
Yeah.
And we sold one ball. The other ball had a crack in it, and then we sold the bag. So
yeah, so
it's not great money, but it's done.
We made our money back for sure.
We sold a guitar strap.
Yeah, it was funny. Jay brought this guitar strap home, and he was like, "This belt is weird. I don't know how it works." I'm like, it's a guitar strap.
Yeah, I found that, it's one of those things, like, I'll go through, they'll have, like, a big thing of belts hanging.
Yeah.
Normally, I skip over it, but this one was, like, just
it had
really
nice leather.
leather. And I thought it was, like, a female belt.
Like a wraparound belt or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a guitar strap, and it sold for $36. It was good. A pair of Ferragamo shoes that I just packed this morning. I had it up.
And
they were men's
yeah.
shoes, men's Oxfords. I had them up for $150. Someone offered $120. That's a great offer. I think I paid $3 for them.
They were in beautiful shape.
Yeah, the tops looked brand new. I mean, They looked incredible.
And that's a good example. Like, you cannot beat eBay for that.
That's a crazy price.
Yeah.
So I have talked about this guy before. The shoe. He's an accessory designer. So for Michael Kors, he does the shoes and the handbags and jewelry and stuff like that. He bought 4 pairs of shoes from us for about $200.
Yeah.
That's a great sale.
We've never had any conversation with him. Like,
he just buys from us.
But it seems like the past couple of years, every 6 months or so, he'll go through our store
and buy a bunch of stuff.
And it's funny, he'll send us offers on stuff.
Well, okay, so 2 pairs he bought outright, but 2 pairs he sent us offers. It's just funny. I don't know why he does that, because I feel like he has like a huge budget.
We're like,
you
did you
know?
work for a multi-billion
Billion-dollar corporation?
But hey, I don't blame people for it's making offers. You know, so it's interesting. Like, it's interesting to see people that design contemporary clothing are doing what makes sense. You buy on eBay stuff from the old days, and then you probably use that as templates. Like, I want to steal, not steal, but let's...
It's stealing.
You know, it's just
borrowing.
This thing.
Or this
feeling.
fabric.
Yeah.
I like this fabric. I like this print. I like the way this looks.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah. Using it as like a prototype. I sold, it was 4 yards of fabric for $100, and the reason it was $100 is on the selvage, which is the edge, it had printed copyright 1976 Laura Ashley. That is original vintage Laura Ashley. Like, that's the real deal.
And I remember when we took it out of storage, I was like, "Is this it?" I mean,
yeah, he's like, "This sold for $100."
It was just like in a Ziploc bag. I mean, it wasn't like a huge, gigantic.
Yeah, it
piece.
wasn't like big, but it's the brand. They wanted original Laura Ashley. It's beautiful fabric, but you guys will see it in the video.
Okay, customer issues. We only had one. We had a buyer return a vintage coin that it sold. It was like...
It was on commission.
It was like a vintage, like, Chinese
coin.
And I didn't know anything about it. I just kind of Googled it. I looked it up.
Other people were selling them.
I copied info online about what the coin was. It sold for $10, and the guy sent it back saying we sold him a counterfeit Chinese coin. I'm like, who would
counterfeit this? It's not worth $10.
It's like the original coin is only worth not even $10. So why would anyone
counterfeit it?
It's a good example of like being out of our element.
Right.
If you don't know the ins and outs of these things, maybe it is counterfeit. I don't know.
I have no idea.
We don't have enough information to be able to.
So
judge.
Part of the issue is this. So because he claimed in the listing that it was counterfeit or not authentic is the wording, eBay deleted the listing. So that kind of sucks, because I was like, well, I was going to relist it as like a reproduction or whatever, which to be honest is a bad idea. So I'm probably not going to do that anyway.
It's not even worth it.
It's like, what am
worth. Yeah.
I'm just going to I throw it in the recycling. What
give it a tip to someone.
I don't, it's just so... That kind of sucked.
Okay, some news. I found an article that seems the most relevant and believable reason for why people are noticing that eBay sales are down.
Yeah.
And we aren't the first one that have talked about this. Like, if we compare sales from, 2015 to 2014,
right,
our sales are down.
Yeah.
And we talked about this during It's Christmas. And this woman wrote, a series of posts. And she says it all started in 2014 when Google punished eBay for spamming them. What
they thought was spamming.
Right. I mean, just where Google was eBay was using some very lazy SEO practices.
SEO, search engine optimization,
to attract Google and to push their rankings up top. And for a long time, eBay listings would be at the very top when you typed in an item
for
name.
shopping. Yeah,
and that's not true anymore, and it makes sense. And she does a good thing where it's not a conspiracy; it's just it's reality. And she's talking about how eBay is trying to evolve, and then she talked about how she's trying to evolve as well, and not be so, how she can attract more people to her store. And really, at the end of the day, it makes sense. And really, it's up to eBay to earn that organic search back.
Yeah, sure.
Again, and you just hope that they're doing that.
I mean, it would really help to be on Google, the most searched website in the world. One of our
need to unlock your iPhone first.
Your phone just thought I was trying to Google something.
Google. Yeah.
She has an Australian accent. That's funny.
It's weird. Our phones are listening to us.
Yes.
So. Sometimes, I wake up in the middle of the night.
Yes, me too.
I can't be the only one.
And you get on your phone.
And I get on my phone.
Yes.
And for some reason, I stumbled across this story of this guy in Santa Fe. He's like in his 80s.
Yeah.
And he made his money collecting art, and he, made a bunch of cash. And he's like an eccentric, kooky guy. And what he did was, in 2010, he got a treasure chest.
Literally a treasure chest.
A real treasure chest from like the 1600s. And he put gold, nuggets,
and gold coins, and
jewels and diamonds. I mean, just like what you would imagine in like a storybook.
Yeah, like
treasure.
Goonies.
And then he hid it somewhere in it's New Mexico. And if you've been to that area, all the caves and rivers and mountains
and canyons.
And then he wrote a little poem giving you clues how to find it. And basically he's like, there is this multi-million-dollar treasure chest, and there's even a picture of it.
Yeah.
Somewhere up there. If you can find it, it's yours.
So, this is when Jay told me this story. His name's Forrest Fenn. So you can, even if you Google treasure hunt, New Mexico, it'll come up.
And we'll put a link to it on the blog.
Yeah. So, Jay told me about this, and I started to become one of those people that's like obsessed with it.
Well, I mean, the reason why the story is in the news right now is because there's a gentleman who was obsessed with it.
Who went looking and went missing.
No one can find him.
Yeah.
And people
really
think
sad.
that maybe he died. Because, this is people don't know really where it is, but it could be off the beaten path. Who knows? And so there are people becoming obsessed by it, selling everything they have to go and search for it. And they're from urban areas, and they're not prepared to, go for hikes in the desert.
Well, and the thing that he says too, and he said it in interviews, he's like, it's not in like super remote wilderness, but people are thinking it might be, so they're going in. I mean, the remote wilderness of like the mountains of New Mexico, that's hardcore. It gets really hot during the day, and it gets really cold at night. So if you're caught out there...
It's like Mars or something.
Yeah, it's just like...
But, what he says is, like, imagine, I did it... He says he did it when he was 80.
Right.
And it took him 2 trips to take everything to his place. So, I mean, he's like, it's not that off the beaten path.
Right, because I had to do it.
An 88-year-old man had to have gotten out of his car and gone into it. So, anyway... I just think it's interesting because it definitely is all about scavenging. I mean, it's like
it's true
scavenger hunt, but
and no one's claimed to have found it. My thought was that maybe someone found it but didn't want to say because they didn't want the attention. But he said no one's ever told him that they found it. Although I wonder if he's ever gone back to see if it was there because if he knows where it is.
Well, and he's interesting because he's a rich guy, and like this is what eccentric rich people do. And I think he's just enjoying this at the end of his life. He's willing to meet with anyone that wants to talk about it.
Yeah,
he won't give anyone clues, but he's willing just to talk to people. And I think he loves hearing how people are doing it. He says that 2 people have emailed him like what they've been up to. And he hasn't told them this, but he says 2 people have come. It's within a couple 100 feet of it.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
So anyway, Google him.
It's really fun though, but Jay was getting annoyed at me because I was like trying to decipher the poem and like I'm like, but what about this? And Jay's like, what are you gonna do? You gonna go find it? Like you think you can go find it?
Like we don't live there. It's like
I don't know. It's like, fun though.
I'm worried you're gonna tell me that
I bought a plane ticket.
We need to like sell everything we have to go.
Really, I don't. Okay, so some of you might have noticed I was on eBay Radio this week.
It was kind of a surprise. It was in the middle of us packing for FBA, and they were like, "Would you like to be on a segment?"
Yeah. So they called and asked if I wanted to be on.
They were like, "What do you want to talk about?" And they're like, "We want to talk about selling on Amazon FBA."
Yeah, it's like, let's talk about FBA. Wait, that makes no sense on eBay Radio. So I talked about sourcing the scavenger way. Basically, that's what they wanted to ask me, which was cool. And I guess Griff really liked our store. They did mention our store, so if you listen to it, you'll hear the store. It was really funny. I didn't expect that.
He seemed It's really, I think, because, we have a lot of eclectic, like different, and we have high-end stuff and
Yeah.
low-end, and I think he appreciated that.
Yeah, that was cool.
I think the funny thing is that he was kind of a surprise, I guess, that we would model our own clothes.
Yeah, that was funny.
Because most eBay people don't model their own
They
clothes.
use a
just,
mannequin.
Or they hang it up or lay it on the ground.
Yeah.
And he was like, they aren't really model people, but it works. I was like,
He said that, I guess they
You're right.
have a video chat like the next day, and that's when he said it. It's like a Periscope show or whatever. He said, I'll quote him directly, he said, they're not the best looking models. I was like, thanks, Griff.
Yeah.
That makes me feel great. But you know what? But that's the thing. Like for us, we're basically like human mannequins. I'm like, I just want people to know how it fits and how it looks on a person. Like I don't need to put makeup on.
And then honestly,
you know?
it's faster for us to just
Yeah.
like put a coat on ourselves and
Rather
snap
than
a picture
dress a mannequin.
than to like put on a mannequin.
Yeah, so-
especially when it comes to shirts or like
Yeah, stuff like that. So that was fun. We'll link to it if you guys want to listen to it.
Yep. All right, things we learned in the comments this week.
Yes.
So FedEx Smart Post.
Okay, look, people love FedEx Smart Post because it's a lot cheaper if you're sending something across the country, or it's big, or it's heavy.
But I mean, real quick, the weird thing about FedEx Smart Post is like it's this hybrid,
Right.
Where it's FedEx does the main pickup and takes it to your area, and then they hand it off to the postal service, and they send it to your actual home.
Right, the last mile, they call it. But here's the deal, and people have asked this, and my postal carrier even was like, when I first started using it, was like, am I supposed to take this box? Because it has a USPS scan label. And, okay, technically, FedEx is supposed to take it. And they do FedEx ground all the way up to the area, like Jay said. But people are saying, you can just give it to your postal carrier and they'll scan it into the system because it has the scan bars there.
And then do they give it to a FedEx, or do they
No,
just
FedEx never gets it. So that's the thing that makes no sense. You're like, so I'm paying FedEx for the post office to do all the work. So let me just say this. People were saying, look, this woman, Dana, I forget how you say her name, said she tried it. She gave her Smart Post to her postal worker, and they scanned it in, and it got to the people. You know, me being like a nerd, I'm like, you're not supposed to do that. So I tried it twice this week with 2 different boxes, and number 1, totally fine. They scanned it in. And number 2, it got there super fast. That was my experience. It got to the people within like priority mail, you know.
Point of order. Point of order.
You need a gavel.
Okay, I have a question. So, is the reason why people are choosing a FedEx Smart Post because it's cheaper than sending it through the postal service?
Yes, it's cheaper. Oh,
Weird.
depends
Yeah,
on
sometimes.
what the size is, where the person is. It depends on all those things. But like if I'm sending a heavy thing to California and it costs $15 through the post office, even the cheapest thing, or it costs $9 through Smart Post, I'm like, I'll just use Smart Post, you know?
Point of order.
Okay, God.
Okay, so there are people like me who don't understand how to ship.
Right.
How do you pick the cheapest? Like, at what point in its process is there a screen or?
Yeah, there's a screen. So here's my thing. You know, regular mail that's light and whatever, I'm just like the post office. I'm not going to mess with anything else. I had a box that was 3 pounds going to California, and the person had paid for parcel. They didn't pay for priority, because if they paid for priority, they want it fast. So I'm like, I'll send it priority. But they paid for parcel, so that's slow. So I'm like, okay, they paid like $13. Parcel can sometimes take a long time, 15 days sometimes. Okay. So I'm like, let me see if it's cheaper on Smart Post, because, you know, we want it to be cheaper. And then I switch it over to FedEx. You just like click, there's like a little logo of the post office on your eBay labels. So click that, and there's going to be a drop down. It's going to show FedEx. So you switch over to FedEx and give them the information.
Okay, so if someone is new in hearing this, there's a page on eBay
for eBay labels,
ship
yeah.
it, and you can just click on buttons, and it shows you different prices.
Yes.
And so it shows you the price and the time it takes to get there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think Yes, it shows you the time. It should show you the estimated time.
Okay, so it's not like it's special knowledge, secret knowledge that you have to figure out.
No.
It's just you taking the time to
check.
look through.
Yeah, and if you're like, man, this is costing more than I thought it would be, let's try Smart Post. That's usually my method.
Now, does it tell you the difference between sending it regional rate A and parcel?
Yeah, for if you're on the post office and you're like, this is 4 pounds, this is the size, it knows the zip code already, and you press calculate and it shows you a list of everything. So you pick what makes the most sense.
Could eBay make that easier or simpler, or is it as easy as
pretty
it's gonna
easy?
be? Okay.
I think it's pretty simple. Cool. That's why when people are so confused about shipping, I'm like, just do calculate it and let eBay figure it out, and then
because it confuses me. There's a seller that we watch. There are. I'm sure all of us do this. We think the things that they sell are really cool, but they also sell a lot of china, plates. They'll sell 30 plates.
Yeah, right.
And then I'll look to see how much they charge to ship, and it's $10. And I'm just like,
how is that possible? It's impossible.
I get confused as to why they're confused about how much to charge. Shipping,
that whole thing was when I see things like that, I'm like, I don't understand what they're doing. Either they're, I don't know, absorbing the shipping costs, but why not just do free shipping and put a really high price? I don't know. I don't understand it either.
Anyway, that's it for shipping.
That's nerdy.
Okay, what is our coming week going to be like? Okay, Jay, what are you going to do this week? All right.
Jay, what are you going to do?
Books that we aren't sending to Amazon because they're either just not seem to be worth anything on Amazon, or they're they're old and their shape isn't too great. I'm just going to sell on eBay.
Which we've done well with. I am going to, I think starting tomorrow, send in another box to Amazon, and it'll be the books that I've been scanning. And I really need to list more artwork on commission.
Yep.
That has to happen.
And tomorrow, too.
Yes.
I'm driving almost up to New York City. I'm driving 5 hours.
Basically driving to Newark.
Yep.
New Jersey.
So 2 weeks ago, I drove down to North Carolina. I did a 10-hour round trip in one day to pick up a big load of flooring, which is gorgeous, Now, Ryan found a $900 refrigerator for $200. And this is going to be for our rental. It's like a special...
So here's the thing about refrigerators. This should go into we'll talk about it in the other podcast next week after you get it. But I'm looking for a 10 cubic foot refrigerator. Because I don't want a big refrigerator. It's not a big kitchen. People are on vacation. They don't need a huge fridge. So I wanted a 10 cubic foot with a bottom freezer. Right. Do you know how rare those are? Yeah. And how expensive they are? They're $900. So I had an alert out on eBay and I found it, and it was in New Jersey, and I was writing this guy away.
So tomorrow morning on Sunday, I'm going to wake up, be out of here by 6 or 7 o'clock, drive up there.
Pick it up.
Takes about 5 hours. Pick it up from the guy and drive back.
Yeah, and actually he's been really nice, and he called you on the phone and
stuff.
But
it's worth it, and we actually bought this through eBay, through a local pickup.
Pickup, and I got a best offer.
Yeah.
He had it up for $250. Yeah. I got it for $2.
Yeah.
But then he was like, there's scratches on the front afterwards. I was like, oh God.
Yeah, but
they're not too bad. So that'll be a fun Sunday. Okay, so we are going to listen to some voicemails. You can always call us at 540-407-8486. It's a voicemail line. You will never wake us up in the middle of the night. It doesn't ring. And you have 3 minutes to leave a question or a comment.
Hey, Jay and Ryan. It's Leslie from Houston. Jay, I know you know me. We went to school together. I hope you guys are doing well. Happy New Year. Listen, I just had a quick question. So I've had 2 transactions this past 2 days, and it's global shipping, and one of them is like a sticker that needs to go to England, or one of them's in England, one's in Australia, okay? And so it was like $2. I put a very simple shipping on there, but then when they went to go pay, it jumped up to $20. And I thought that it was pretty easy with global shipping. So my question to you guys is, have you had any problems recently with this? Because I've had to actually cancel these transactions, and I'm not really sure what to do. I might have to call eBay. Thought about asking you, but I don't really know what to do because there's a set standard. So I've actually relisted them as free shipping, and I assume it's global shipping because I've agreed to global shipping. But then, am I going to be charged the $20 for shipping a sticker that costs $9? Anyway, I don't know if you guys have had any problems or anyone else. Just curious. Thank you so much. Hope you guys are doing well, and take care. Bye.
Okay, so the thing about global shipping is your people, like, you put $2 to ship this, like, special sticker thing, but that's just domestic shipping. So with the global shipping program, they need to pay the domestic shipping plus the shipping to their country plus their import fees. So that's why it jumped up to $20 for a simple thing that you put $2 on. That's just how it goes. I mean, you could pull global shipping off that item and send it first class. Depending on the country, you might be able to put insurance and tracking on it. But honestly, global shipping program, I think, is the best. It takes care of everything. And, you know, if they don't want to pay that shipping, they should not buy it. Sorry. And
just by the way, she found me just randomly.
Oh, that was random, yeah. Because you guys went to school together.
Yeah, she was in my 9th grade. We went to a school together, and I think she left basically
for
in
high
10th
school.
grade. So we were, I mainly remember her from 9th grade.
Yeah.
In English. I sat behind her, and my mom actually taught the class. It's a very low point of it's my life. You don't want your mom teaching your class.
Teaching your 9th grade English class.
So, yeah, it's funny she happened to...
That's so random.
Randomly look for eBay blogs. And
here you are. So, your little school in Houston.
It's good to hear from her.
Hey, guys. My name is Robin. I'm from North Carolina. I've been listening to the podcast lately. And, of course, I had to check out the lamps, and they are really cool. This is just a suggestion, and everybody's got ideas. If you put on simple drum shades, possibly, maybe they would sell better, because the shades are hideous. But the lamps are really cool. Anyway, love to listen to the podcast. That's about it. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, so I have to disagree with you for 2 reasons. Number 1, they're the original fiberglass shades that are in pristine condition.
And people like fiberglass.
That is very rare. That is 1950s. Like, I would never get rid of those shades, no. And number 2, I don't think they're ugly. Of course, everyone has their own opinion.
Well, to her credit, she could absolutely be right because no one has bought them.
Yes, that's true.
But we feel that they're good looking, and we're just going to...
I think they're very cool.
I think it's just the fact that we have a crazy price on them.
Look, if I priced them at $300 best offer, they'd sell. But I'm, like, too much of a stickler.
Hi, everybody. This is Eve Everett. I wanted to mention, again, the Affordable Care Act and actually how great it is. I've been self-employed for many years. My insurance used to be, with no health problems, used to be literally 4 times what I'm paying now. And as a matter of fact, this year, not only did my plan stay the same, but my rate went down by about $45, and I added a better dental plan as a result of that, which basically would replace my entire mouth. So for those of you that are a little reticent about Obamacare and you think that someone's going to get all your information, do terrible things to you, that's not how this really works. So again, think about it. And as always, it's a real pleasure. Great to listen to your podcast, both with Shampoo and Booze and the Scavenger Life podcast. And I hope you and yours have a great week. Thanks.
So yeah, that's true for us. I don't know. We were self-employed too and didn't have health insurance just because it was too expensive on the private its market and going through healthcare.gov, which is not government healthcare. We're still buying it from private health.
Yeah, I mean, we have Anthem. It's a private company.
It's just now we can compare, and it's affordable for us. So we have healthcare.
Yeah,
and we pay them.
We love
monthly,
it,
and we're good to go.
Yeah.
And
you can hear the first half of her question on Shampoo and Booze. I played it over there.
Hi guys, this is Fran from Ohio. I listen to you guys every week. I think you're awesome. But I also wanted to give you a little bit of information that might help with the FBA Amazon. I haven't started at Amazon FBA either, so I've been doing a lot of research. I've been basically watching a lot of vlogs. And one vlog that I've watched is called Planet Alyssa, Alyssa, and she's just this young gal who has gone full time. She does Etsy, eBay, and Amazon. And at the end of 2015, she actually did a video on her total sales and then the breakdown of her sales. So she showed what she spent, her gross, what she spent, and her net. And it was really helpful for me to take a look at that and see what I could get from it and kind of give me a basic idea of like, okay, if I actually do this, am I going to make any profit? And how much am I going to have to put into this? So I thought maybe that would be helpful too. I know you guys are having like a personal tutor, which I think is great. But yeah, check her out. Planet Alyssa. She's like super real. And that screenshot that she showed, I think it might have been from GoDaddy. It was just really helpful. So, all right, take care and keep on keeping on.
Cool. We will definitely check her out. That's something I'm definitely interested in is like
numbers.
It's cool when things are selling on Amazon, but yeah, I'm really wondering, like, they do a pretty good job showing you how much you'll sell it for, and then they break down those fees, and the fees are, they're often
crazy.
Like 30% or more.
Yeah.
So I would love to actually see how much people are making if they're doing it full time, because
it's good to see those numbers.
Yeah.
Hey, Scavengers. My name is Hugh. I'm from Longwood Gardens, Pennsylvania. As always, your podcast is amazing. The knowledge and advice you guys give us is a godsend to us flippers. My question is about authentication. As a kid, I loved the WWF. Went to see a live show in Philly when I was like 5 years old. My favorite wrestler was Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and actually, as he exited the ring, my dad actually yelled to him, "Hey, Jim, my kid loves you. Can you give us your lumber?" As right is right, Hacksaw gave us his lumber in front of like thousands of people, and at this point, I would actually like to sell the 2x4, but it's hard for a man, I think, to sell his wood on eBay without it being authenticated. And I actually don't think many people sell like wood on eBay. It'd be hard, I guess, to sell their wood, but if I can get it proven that it's Hacksaw's lumber, I'm sure I could sell it for a decent price. There's a lot of WWE fans I collect on eBay, and I'm really not sure how I could describe it. It's a 2x4. I mean, what am I going to say? It's like long and steady, solid with no signs of chafing, nicks, maybe dinks or dunks. But no one's going to buy really my wood off eBay off of word of mouth. And so I'm not really quite sure how to authenticate it. And do you guys have any companies or know how I can get it authenticated? And really, thanks again, guys. Hope to hear back from you soon, and definitely continue the great work. I really appreciate it. You've helped me out a lot on a lot of my sales. Thanks very much. Have a good night, guys.
So number one is he sounds like he's probably about my age, because Hacksaw was definitely...
Dude, let me just say, Ultimate Warrior was my favorite, and Coco Beware, because he had a friggin' parrot.
Yeah.
How awesome is that?
So here's the deal. This is all about its provenance.
Yes.
A fancy French name for what you need to actually prove. And that is, how do you convince someone that this, normal piece of 2x4 is actually something that was used by Hacksaw Dugan?
Yeah.
And really, that's up to you. I mean, there's no way you could go to an authenticator because
there's no way to prove it.
Because they would have you would either need to find like a piece of a video, or a photograph,
right,
or something.
Well, that's what I was going to say, and I'm assuming you're calling us because you don't have video and you don't have a photo and there's no signature on it.
Yeah.
Therefore, you just have a piece of wood.
I mean, so now it's just your word is the thing that lets people know that it's what it is.
Yeah,
so unfortunately, in my opinion, you just have something cool for it yourself, and you should just put it on the wall, and it's a fun story to tell people when people come over. But,
or, honestly, you can try to sell it, but there's nothing that says it's, anything more than that. It's a very cool story, though.
Hey, Scavenger Life. I actually just wanted to call and thank you. You helped us make pretty significant amount of money this week. My husband and I watched your episode about the shell cordovan, and we'd never even heard of it before. So, 2 days later, I thought, well, I'll walk through the men's shoe area at Goodwill here in San Antonio. And sure enough, I found a pair of Alden shell cordovan shoes in excellent condition. And I was so excited, I was literally sweating at the store. But anyway, I just wanted to thank you guys. You helped us out a bunch. Have a good one. Bye.
Okay, I love to hear that story because if you don't know what shell cordovan looks like, you've probably passed it up and not bought it before. I think in the beginning, in 2009, I think I probably sold several pairs of shell cordovan wingtips for $12.
And, I'll tell you, though, it's another of the things of put it in perspective. People are like, wait a second, I bet it's everywhere.
It's not everywhere.
We rarely find these things. I don't think we found a pair of shell cordovan in
a couple years,
maybe. At least a year.
Yeah.
So, but it's just one of those things to look out for, because again, it's going to be when Grandpa passes away or something, and the kids just give away all of his junky old clothes,
and nobody cares.
Those kind of shoes were much more common back then because it's made out of the butt of a horse.
Horse butt
hide.
Yeah.
And so nowadays, if you buy that stuff new, it's
$400 for a pair.
$300, $400, $500 $100, depending on the designer.
Right. So I'm glad you found those. I love to hear that.
I love your podcast and follow it avidly. Remodeling stuff. You never left a link to their website on your podcast 242, which I'm still listening to for the second time. Love it. But I've tried to Google that, try to spell it, and Remodeling Life. I cannot find it for the life of me. Anyway, love your podcast. You guys are wonderful. My name is Craig, and I have no clue what time it is back there with you folks, so I'm sorry if I'm calling you at an indecent hour. And I also wish to goodness that you had your comments enabled, unless that ends up being a problem with what you folks have dealt with YouTube. That would be interesting to bring up in one of your podcasts or videos as to why you disabled the comments, because I would have seen in there that somebody had questioned about that remodeling website that I'm dying to get a hold of. Look forward to hearing you folks in the future, and thank you so much for all your wisdom. You're an inspiration. Love you.
Okay, so just to be clear, the name of the blog is Remodelista. And we did link to it. We linked to it both on YouTube and our blog, so it was there.
Yeah. Remodel, then ISTA.
Remodelista.com. So that's what it is.
And I brought it up because it's a good site to see how designers are using quirky, old, vintagey kind of things that really looks good. I mean,
they look modern.
This is super high-end kind of design. This isn't junky,
shabby chic.
Yeah.
This is not shabby chic. This is ultra high-end modern, people are mixing, vintage with modern type deal. So it's helpful for us to see stuff like that so that we know who our audience is or who our potential audience is.
And so when we price things higher and people are like, you're crazy, we were pricing it because we're aiming at those kind of people.
Exactly.
Hi, this is Tush from Maryland again, and I heard you guys talking about the nail polish and the hazmat what I've done before when I had products that came up under hazmat, I would email the company and have them send me the, excuse me, I think it's the MSD or whatever it is. I'm sorry, I should have looked it up. But basically, it just shows the what type of product it is and what is in it. And I sent that into Amazon, and they've always accepted it, and they've taken off the hazmat. So you might want to see what that form is. I forgot what it is, some type of occupational paperwork. Email the company, see if they'll send it to you, and then send it into Amazon for them to review it to update the hazmat. And hopefully you'll be able to send in the nail polish. All right, thanks. Bye.
So I would love to know what the actual form is called, if people know. I'm sure there are people who do FBA know, because I would love to get our nail polish approved as un-hazmat.
Yeah, so
item.
What do we actually ask the company about this? Yeah,
I should Google it some, but I would love to know what the name of the form is. If anybody knows it, that will help.
Okay, that is it for this week. You can check out our blog at scavengerlife.com. That's where we put all the links we talked about, and you can join in the conversation.
You can call and leave a question or a comment on something you heard. The voicemail number is 540-407-8486.
And we post an episode every Sunday night or Monday morning. Wednesdays, we post our What Sells video, so you can actually see what we sold and how much we sold them for.
And you can say, you sold what?
What?
That's what I say when I'm making it. I can't believe I sold this.
You can subscribe to us through iTunes or through YouTube, and those links are on our blog as well, so you'll always get the latest. And you can listen to our other podcast at shampooandbooze.com.
That's where we talk about our Airbnb rental business in depth, so that we don't bore you here.
Yeah, it really kind of reminds us of when we started Scavenger Life. We're kind of all over the place. Like, I don't really know... it's such a new kind of business for us, but
look, we're new to it. We're figuring it out, and it's fun to talk about.
I mean, just like anything, we're just trying to document what we're doing. That's all we can do, and we hope that that's helpful for people as they're trying to kind of be independent. And when you aren't working for somebody else, you got to talk to somebody.
Right, exactly. Okay, this podcast is ending in 3, 2, 1.
Bye.